This week, we welcome Dr. Kiri Addison, Threat Detection and Efficacy Product Manager at Mimecast, to discuss AI in email security, a tale of two sides. In this week's Leadership and Communication segment, we discuss overemphasizing metrics, delegation drawbacks, security culture starts at the top, and succeeding in security with economic insecurity. Business Security Weekly starts now.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where we explore the business of security to improve the security of business. Your trusted source for actionable insights on leadership, communication, and innovation. Get ready for Business Security Weekly.
According to the 2022 Data Breach Investigations Report, the human remains the number one driver of breaches today, demonstrating that cybersecurity is no longer just a technical challenge, but a human one as well. But how do you manage the human risks of cybersecurity? It starts with measurement. Only by effectively quantifying human risk can organizations engage employees with relevant activities to truly change human behavior. That's human risk management. Map key human behaviors to the business risks that matter most to your organization for free by visiting securityweekly.com/living security. Files are the lifeblood of business, and your employees will open the files they need to do their jobs, whether they're safe or not. With Votiro, your employees will only open files that are safe. Votiro applies zero trust principles to files and sanitizes every incoming file for your organization. Known and unknown threats are removed instantly, and the file retains full functionality, so your business is safe and productivity never slows down. And it's not just for email. The Votiro Cloud API works on web downloads, file uploads, cloud apps, FTP, and content collaboration portals. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Votiro.
Welcome to Business Security Weekly. This is episode 297, recorded on Monday, March 13th, 2023. I'm Adrian Sanabria, standing in for Matt Alderman. And of recording time, I believe money still exists and there's still a banking system in the U.S. And joining me today is Jason Albuquerque. How are you, Jason?
Hey, what's going on, Adrian? Yeah, it's been a wild weekend, huh? I mean, we've had manufacturers calling in saying they can't accept invoices and can't accept payments, and it's just been a wild time.
So nerve-wracking. It's because, I mean, I don't know if we still know at this point. Are there going to be runs on other small regional banks? Like it's crazy, and they took another bank down yesterday. So now it's two. It's
I know. Ooh. All we can do is sit back and watch.
Yep. Powerless. Tyler Robinson also joining us. How are you feeling?
I'm good, man. I moved all mine to crypto. Oh, wait. Crypto crashed too. My bad. Don't worry. Yeah. We're spinning up that T coin right now. So I'll let you know when it's ready to mint.
Yeah, not been a fun year for those guys either.
No, it hasn't.
I'm not sure there's a winning side here. All right, we got a quick announcement here, and then we'll jump into our first interview. Security Weekly listeners save $100 on their RSA Conference 2023 Full Conference Pass. RSA Conference will take place April 24th through 27th in San Francisco and on demand. To register using our discount code, please visit securityweekly.com/RSAC 2023. That's securityweekly.com/RSAC 2023 and use the code 53UCyber. That's 53, the letter U, cyber. We hope to see you there. All right, so this interview is sponsored by Mimecast, and you can visit securityweekly.com/Mimecast to learn more about them. Dr. Kiri Addison is a threat detection and efficacy product manager at Mimecast. She works closely with engineers, threat researchers, and data scientists on Mimecast security products to adapt them to defend against new and evolving threats. Today, she joins us to discuss AI in email security. Welcome to Business Security Weekly, Kiri.
Thanks, Adrian. Nice to be here.
Now, first off, it's a very interesting title, and I understand you worked. You've done a lot of data science in the past, but I love seeing efficacy in your title because that's definitely been kind of a passion point for me with a lot of security products. I feel like there's not a lot of not enough, let me say, not enough security companies and security products that consider the efficacy of their products or whether they even work at all in some cases. So maybe tell me a little bit like did you choose that title? Like why is it so important that efficacy be included in there?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it should be at the core of any security product. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Should be.
Detecting threats, and not detecting good things or legitimate, messages, emails, whatever you're trying to detect. So, yeah, I mean, I think that should be the main focus of anyone working in security, really.
Yeah, and that's so let's expand that to your role. It sounds like you have some teams working for you. What was kind of the goal in creating this role here? Was it to bring up the quality of those services, or was it more to break ground, to explore greenfield AI advances and how they can help in security?
So it's kind of, I suppose it's a combination of both, really. So there's, different ways of looking at it. We've got, and, depending on the type of attack you're trying to mitigate, there are different solutions for it. You don't always need AI and machine learning, but, sometimes you do. And really the idea of the creation of this role was we had a lot of kind of developers. They were doing amazing things to improve efficacy based on, what they're seeing, what the researchers are telling them. But we weren't necessarily, surfacing all that work to our customers. So, they just think, okay, my class is working in the background, I'm not seeing bad things coming through, but they didn't really understand all of the kind of improvements and features that we were making and why we were making them either.
And I work in product marketing, so I appreciate that. That's definitely something we want to do, is make sure people appreciate everything that goes into the product. And honestly, I think that makes the best marketing, right? Like how did you overcome certain challenges? I mean, certainly when we started to see BEC scams, for example, I think it's a great time right now to talk about BEC scams, because there's a lot of people changing banking numbers right now, changing account and routing numbers. And, an email sent at just the right time could maybe get a couple billion dollars sent to the wrong place. So yeah, I imagine like that's one of your challenges now, because in the past we're like, oh, email security is easy. We'll just click the links in all the emails within a VM and automatically detect if it's doing anything nasty or not. And then all of a sudden it's just human speech. It's just, hey, I'm your supplier. We're changing our bank accounts. We need you to send the millions of dollars to this account number instead, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's like, it's the real difficult thing at the moment, the kind of supply chain attacks, BEC attacks, especially with what's going on in the world, like, say, people changing bank accounts. I'm sure that we will see threat actors jumping on this kind of event, and we'll see emails coming through. So that's typically something that we're always seeing them doing, like throughout COVID and the pandemic. Like every time there's a new stage to lockdown or going back to work, you saw threat actors just jumping on that. And sending out, sometimes hundreds of thousands of malicious emails. So they will capitalize on any event. And yeah, I think it's definitely become kind of harder, the detection part, as well as threat actors have evolved that technique. So, previously, okay, they'll send out a link, we scan the link, we can block it. But now when you think about kind of multi-stage attacks, they'll send out a link in an email, but that link will go to like a safe legitimate site, like a SharePoint or something. And then on that site, you'll get the link to the phishing page. So that kind of adding in more and more layers and stages to their attack.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kiri, because our modern workplace today has added a whole bunch of complexity to what we do, right? For example, collaboration tools. You have email-enabled channels within, let's say, your Microsoft Teams and M365, right? So now those email-enabled channels are perpetuating the problem. They're not just going to an inbox. They could be going to an entire team of people, right? They could be going to a whole department within an organization. So I'm seeing a lot of added risk with the modern workplace and the modern collaboration tools. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say that's probably, it's a gap. It's something that's emerging possibly not everyone's, thinking about that as a big risk at the moment. So that's definitely something that can be capitalized on in terms of, from the threat actor's point of view. So definitely a big risk. Also, what we're seeing is, I suppose it's a kind of ongoing problem, employees downloading different types of collaboration tools and software. And our IT security companies don't know about it. So if you don't know about it, you can't protect it. And that, again, it just comes down to, I suppose, awareness training needed there around, collaboration tools and why you shouldn't, download things that haven't been approved by security, which is probably a story that's been told for a long time.
What are some of the advances and challenges inside of data science, inside of AI and ML, related to kind of business security protections? What are you guys seeing from emerging, not only threats and bypasses, but from the side of protection? What can be done, and are these training models actually becoming effective? Is there more awareness which is allowing better or worse accuracy on those data sets and models?
Yeah, I think, the main challenge with data science always is really about getting good quality data to train your models on. And, especially with these larger models, you need more and more data to get good and accurate results. And when we're thinking about, we're talking about BEC and people using human sounding language, it's harder, really hard to distinguish between what is a malicious email, what is legitimate business traffic. And to do that with AI, you do need some of these more sophisticated large language models, which again, you need software infrastructure to run that on, and a lot of data to train them with.
Does that present a scaling issue from an AI side, where your compute costs outweigh the actual viability of a product and its ability to protect you because of the training and re-looping of that data and data model?
Yeah, I think it definitely can do. It's something that you need to think about. And that's why using pre-trained models, using those and then fine-tuning them can be a really good route to go down. But there are so many different ways that you can kind of, deploy and use these models. So thinking about that early on is something that you definitely need to do.
Yeah, so let's help me understand how, I assume the title here, A Tale of Two Sides, is talking about how both malicious actors are using AI, talking about, in fact, I remember seeing a story in the news not too long ago about somebody who was actually using voice deep fakes to get grandparents or something like that to, send money to somebody who's in jail. I think this was in Canada. I remember seeing this. And then using AI on, to stop these kinds of attacks. But I don't know, like maybe let's just explore that one a little bit. I assume you heard about that story, so we know that's real. That's not a theoretical threat. People are using deep fakes to scam people out of money.
Yeah, definitely. And there've been quite a few, well, not quite a few, I would say, high profile attacks where, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars have been lost from these scams. They're not something we're seeing being very commonly abused at the moment. Possibly that will increase as these tools become more readily available. For attackers figure out the best ways to use them to increase their chances of a successful attack. But yeah, it's just, I suppose, another string to that bow, I guess, in terms of the social engineering that they can layer on attacks. Yeah, I think if you, imagine kind of a phishing email that comes into you, it's impersonating the CEO, or perhaps they've used a compromised account of the CEO. It's perhaps using thread hijacking, so it's being replied to from an original email chain that you've had with someone. They've used certain terminology to put on that pressure, that sense of urgency. They're trying to get you to do something. They're asking you to phone a number, and when you phone that number, you get a kind of deep fake of the person's voice. So it's just another kind of layer that they add on to impersonation and social engineering.
Do the models actually effectively identify let's say, language or the way in which someone communicates, or are they looking for heuristic-based behavior, like this is suspicious because they're asking you to do certain malicious keyword searches, or is it a combination where you're presenting a risk level based on multiple indicators that then move to the next layer of scrutiny?
It can be both. So in terms of the models when you're talking about natural language processing, I think one of the best ways to apply it is to kind of fine tune it. So if we think about BEC attacks, what's common, that when you think about sentiments, okay, a sense of urgency, pressure, topics could be, trying to get you to change communication channel, trying to get you to make a wire transfer, a gift card, that's a really common one. So you can fine tune these models to look for specific sentiments, specific topics, and apply them directly rather than just saying, "No, here's an email, tell me what it's about." One thing we have
Jason,
found, which is quite interesting.
I was going to ask Jason how often your CEO has you go buy a bunch of gift cards urgently.
Absolutely never. No, I mean, I wanted to tether into Tyler's point though. Like, can the algorithms actually look at sound characteristics like frequency and pitch and things of that nature to determine deepfake?
Yeah, I think those features would probably be pretty useful. And I think trying to pick out a deep fake in terms of like a voice is probably easier than trying to identify AI generated text in a way. Something that we've been doing at Mimecast with our data science team is trying to figure out, because there's been all this kind of news around attackers can generate really realistic phishing emails. But we've been trying to think, okay, can we actually detect those phishing emails or not? Turns out like there are many tools you can use kind of readily available and with like not the best accuracy, I'd say, but they can sometimes determine if a piece of text is AI generated or likely human generated. But really easily, all you have to do is change one word, add in a spelling mistake, and you can trick those detectors, which any cyber criminal is going to figure out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I just came across a tool yesterday called Content at Scale is the company, and they have an AI detector, but also the service that this company provides is the ability to evade their own AI detector.
It works really well.
So, well, and then there's the other issue of, just detecting AI doesn't mean it's malicious. Already sales and marketing teams are using AI to write their copy and things like that. So, and maybe individuals too. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily, just because you get a positive result on something written by AI doesn't mean it's a scam or it's malicious.
No, exactly. And I mean, the way I would look at it is it's an indicator. It's another indicator that you combine with other things to raise the level of suspicion, raise the level of risk.
And email has been doing that forever, right? Like giving an email a score, like where did it come from? How long has this domain existed? All these different factors.
What's kind of the holy grail or the end goal from your standpoint? If you had all the budget in the world and you're trying to build the perfect product leveraging like AI or ML and you're trying to solve a problem like email scam or business email compromise, like what is the kind of the holy grail of what you're looking to accomplish and to get to that end goal?
I mean, obviously you could say 100% efficacy. That would be amazing. But in reality, it's never going to kind of happen. But I suppose, when you're in a place where you can be very proactive around the threats that are coming in, when you're able to respond really quickly, improve your product, improve the detections in the back end, and just kind of, I suppose, using AI to supplement the detections. I think that's kind of where we're focused. We don't just use AI. AI is another layer on top of what we're doing. And because we have other scanning capabilities in place, what we're able to do is focus on bringing down the false positives, which can be one of the issues with AI. If you don't kind of manage it, develop it properly, then you just end up sort of alerting too often.
I guess from your plethora of amazing pedigree and academic background, astrophysics and physics, do you think from an academic standpoint, email in general is broken and needs to be redesigned? Do we need to go back to a only accept email from trusted parties at after pre-established communication, or a deny all with accept only those that are trusted? Do you think we can get to a system from an academic standpoint? Because obviously there's a lot more to that, but are we at a broken point that needs to be revamped and rethought out?
Yeah, I definitely think there's more we could do. Even, what we've got existing already, like, something like DMARC. We found recently that a third of companies that we surveyed, only a third of companies we surveyed were actually implementing DMARC correctly. So, if people put more effort into making DMARC work, appreciate obviously it's not the most straightforward thing to kind of set up without kind of help and knowledge about it. But just, things like that could really make a big difference.
So I'll take the opposite side of what Tyler just said from a realistic perspective, because you'll never get a CEO to invest in anything that denies all. So you won't make any money, right? At the end of the day, what are some realistic solutions that we could be bringing to the table to start protecting our businesses, our organizations from these modernized threats, right? We talked about modern workplace, collab, email threat, AI starting to generate content, video deepfakes, audio deepfakes, all of these challenges that our user base has to go through. What are some of those, takeaways that you can give your potential clients on what they can be doing to shore up their security posture when it comes to this?
I suppose just, in general, think about the basics. You need to understand, what you've got, what's at risk. Why would someone attack you? Why would they go after you? Now, I suppose at the moment, everyone's probably got this baseline of a lot of phishing, ransomware as well, potentially. So thinking about those kind of, how can you cover off those basics? Not necessarily so relevant for email, but kind of vulnerability patching is really important. It's something, everyone's been going on about for a long time. But, we're seeing shorter and shorter time spans between a vulnerability being published and then it being exploited. So, focusing in on that, really important. Also, I think user awareness. So with every kind of email-based threat, I think pretty much every time it will involve some kind of human error for that attack to be successful. So really focusing in on awareness training is going to help with the BC attacks, the ransomware attacks that they come initially through email, as well as the BEC and spoofing attacks as well.
So yeah, it's a great opportunity to shift there, to shift more to preparation, and what the, how do you measure success there? What are the right data points? I know there's a lot of stuff in place, and I've seen some academic research that says, certain types of phishing testing and awareness could actually be even more harmful than helpful. So what direction should we be going in there? What are the right metrics?
Yeah, I think the awareness training is useful, that point on awareness training. So at Mimecast, with our awareness training product, each user that has it gets an overall score on different areas, kind of knowledge, engagement with the process. So kind of looking at that kind of score and how it can change over time is interesting. We've actually linked it to our goals internally. So at the end of the year, you're supposed to have a certain rating. So it's the first year we've done it, so I'll be interested to see the results. Has that actually improved security awareness and people's engagement with the program as well? If they think, it's really it's gonna impact my end of year review. So that's interesting. I suppose one other key point there, it's something I heard about recently. I was reading, I don't know if you've read The People Hacker yet by Jenny Radcliffe. It's kind of a new book all about social engineering, her career in social engineering. But she talks about how she uses phishing emails, and when she uses kind of links in phishing emails, she makes sure that they don't kind of annoy people too much, basically. Don't send a phish test where you're saying, oh, you're going to get a bonus, click on this link, because when they find out they're not going to get a bonus, they're going to be upset about it. So try and inject some humor into the training as well to help them become more engaged in that.
Yeah, and what was that from Jenny? That was a talk or a book?
It's the book, The People Hacker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Confessions of a Burglar for Hire. I found it. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
sorry, that's the
she's been
title.
on.
That's her name. Yeah.
Yeah. She's been on one of these shows before. I watched that episode and it was great. It was either PSW or was it BSW? Do you remember, Tyler?
I don't remember. I think it was PSW.
Okay. Yeah, I know we've had her on. She's fantastic. But yeah, I wonder about that. I wonder about should every employee, I guess they should be expected to get to a certain baseline, right? I think part of the difficulty is deciding what that baseline should be, because the attackers are always improving as well also. And, I see some of these attacks, and I think, there's no way an employee should be on the hook for falling for that. Like it was just really, really well done. How do you feel about that? About where, is that just constantly going to be a moving bar? And I guess anybody who, I'm sure, Jason, you have some thoughts on this as well, but I'd like to hear from you first, Kiri.
Yeah, it's very tricky. What we also do is
Or you can
you
defer.
can you can kind of so you can use real email and train your users with actual real defanged
Yeah.
phishing emails, so they will see things that are more relevant to them. They're not just something that someone's fabricated, and is not realistic at all. So yeah, I definitely think that helps, giving them more realistic training. Sometimes people are going to fail, and that's fine, I suppose. Yeah, you wouldn't want to say, okay, you're going to get fired if you fall for a phishing email. That's not fair. That's not realistic. You don't want to create that culture of fear.
And you were talking about the patch window closing between when a vulnerability comes out and the patch is available and how quickly you can patch. Like that's the case for these programs as well, right? When attackers come up with new tactics, maybe we train everybody, but the 50 new people that started just after we rolled out that training haven't taken that training yet. So they're all vulnerable. You're not going to give them email until they go through the training? I don't know. Jason, what do you think? Where do you set that bar? Do you have to move it?
It's a balance of all of the above. I mean, number one, it's a culture thing, right? Because you want to create an environment where end users feel good raising their hand. We talk about this all the time on the show, right? So many instances of people clicking on a fish are because they're running 1,000 miles an hour and they're afraid to raise their hand because they don't want to get in trouble for a false positive or be looked at as stupid, right? We got to get rid of that mentality. We want people to raise their hand, even if it is a false positive. So creating that culture and that environment where it's okay to raise your hand, it's okay if something doesn't smell right to actually call it out and bring it to the security team. And it's not a bad thing if it's a false positive. Culture is key. That culture needs to be supported all the way from the top. Board of directors, CEO, CFO, CISO, all the way down, right? Because it needs to become pervasive within the organization. And then obviously the cyber awareness training, the technologies that are on top of it. And to be honest, it's the additional technologies, the layers that come on top of it. It's not just finding the phishing email and ripping it out of an inbox. It's if somebody does click, what are you doing to mitigate that risk after the fact? So having all of those things in play, that's the balance you need within the organization.
Yeah, that defense in depth becomes very, very critical from an attacker that does very advanced phishing. You may get past the first 3 layers, but if you have 4 more layers to get past, all that's doing is opening the opportunity for the blue team to have that time to detection and the capability of those points of detection. If you've only got 2 or 3 points of detection, I'm going to get past most of those pretty straightforward, pretty easily. And having something that is protecting the users from a technology standpoint, yeah, the user should be aware, but we really have to get past this punishing the user. Like, incentivize them if they do report something and it is legitimate. Incentivize them for reporting something, whether it was legitimate or not, and do not misincentivize or punish when they make a mistake. That's what technology is there to support and fix. It's not their job function to know what a fish should look like. They shouldn't know how advanced I'm going to get, what links go where, and how I redirect those. And if I'm leveraging the technology and their job function against them, let them do their damn job and stop punishing them for something that is just part of doing business. That's a business risk that you've accepted to accept email and not do deny all. Great. You guys want to make money. We're capping. Now let's move on and provide the technology, and then, educate them so that they're protected at home and they have the education to report something if they do. If they do get it, great. If they don't, we need to stop the punishment at the door. Like all this awareness training that punishes users, it's gotten out of hand, and it's detrimental to our training and the ability for our end users to report anything.
In all honesty, Tyler, when the culture is what you're describing there, we lose a layer, right? We talk about defense in depth, all those layers. We lose the human layer when you start punishing the human, right? Because there's all these different places where hands can be raised, flags can be raised, right? We lose the human layer when the culture doesn't fit.
And that's Tyler, one of the things I worry about it. Go ahead, Kiri. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Tyler, I think the point you made about telling people how to protect themselves at home and in their personal lives is really important. I think, if you can kind of flip that around. So we often say, don't reuse your credentials, protect yourself at home because someone could use it to get into, your work, your business. But actually say, don't reuse your credentials at work, protect your credentials at work because someone could use that to get, impact your personal life in some way.
Yeah. We see that more and more. If you're not protecting the human, you're not protecting the business, right? Like in general, executives are targeted at home. Like that's a whole niche cottage industry now is executive digital protection now. Yeah.
So really the humans will bring the good habits to the workplace. That's what happens. The good habits will come to the workplace if they have the good habits.
Yeah, and humans innately are selfish creatures, right? Like you have to bring this personal. You have to make that matter to them in some way, shape, or form. Not everyone makes the logical connection of their work life tied to their income, tied to their home. If you make it logical where they protect their money at home and those habits carry over to work, that's gonna be a habit that then sticks rather than something that is forced upon them, and that creates a human nature effect of wanting to do better, wanting to build a culture, wanting to be secure. And so it's just like general psychology.
So as we wrap up the conversation here, Kiri, you shared the excellent book, Jenny Radcliffe, People Hacker. Do you have any other resources or thoughts as we wrap up the conversation here that you'd recommend?
Yeah, so we have a lot of blogs just to advertise Mimecast. We have a lot of interesting blogs around kind of AI, how it's misused, or how it could be used for defense as well. So I definitely recommend taking a look at our website. We also have the Fishy Business podcast as well, which it's not all focused on cybersecurity. We have loads of different kinds of guests. Obviously there's a lot of security in it, but we cover just a huge range of topics. So that's on Spotify as well and on our website.
Very good. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one. I'll have to check that out. Fishy Business, spelled exactly how you think it would be spelled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Kiri, thank you so much for joining us on Business Security Weekly today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much. Great talking to you.
All right. Make sure you visit securityweekly.com/Mimecast to learn more and stay tuned. When we come back, we've got some leadership and communications articles to discuss.